It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo Parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science Potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you and welcome to the Science Bowl. Today, 2 outstanding elementary schools here to play our game. Play along with them and see if you can keep up. Let's meet our teams first from Port Towns Elementary. Making their first ever appearance on Science Bowl, we say hello to Lucero Vasquez, Bryant Mejia, and Francesca Mba. And from Valley View Elementary, our contestants are Angelica Kalanog, Adrian Sison, and Jocelyn Celestine. And now here are the categories of questions we use on Science Bowl.
Okay, Mr. Z, here's today's categories. Green things, questions about plants and all things green and growing. Zoo Parade, a Noah's Ark of questions about animals. Body systems, we'll see how much you know about yourself, about things like breathing and growing, and digesting your food. Let's get physical. Questions that test your knowledge of physics and chemistry, earth science and space science. Then there's Science Potpourri. Here's a grab bag of science questions, everything from air pollution to the kitchen sink. And finally, Dateline Science. We'll ask you about science history and science in the news.
Here on Science Bowl, our game board reflects question difficulty, with the easier questions worth 5 and 10 points and the tougher ones worth 15, 20, and ultimately 25, the toughest question in each category. We start our teams out with 50 points apiece. No penalties ever for incorrect answers. At the end of the 2 rounds, one of these 2 good-looking teams will come back to play Rockledge for the chance to move on to this year's elementary school quarterfinals. Let's make sure everything works properly. Let's go to the red team with everybody in yellow over there. Try your buzzer, Bryant. Good. Good luck to you and to Francesca and to Lucero. And Adrian, would you try yours? All right, the green team looks like it's ready and raring to go. Adrian and Jocelyn, Angelica, are we ready? Yes. Let's do this. We have a lot of parents down there watching. Everyone's rooting for you. Let's have a great game. We go alphabetically P before V. So Port Towns and Bryant, let's start the Science Bowl.
Dateline Science for 5.
Dateline for 5 points. Teams, Jaws has come to the Potomac River because 2 8-foot versions of this fish were recently found there. Valley View.
Shark.
Sharks is absolutely right. Jaws, the famous movie. Dun, 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 as that dorsal fin goes through the water. 2 sharks in the Potomac. Not good news. Go, green.
Body system for 10.
Body systems for 10. All right, teams. No matter how much spice you put on food, if you take it to outer space, you can hardly taste it because what sense organs don't work up there because gravity is so weak? All right, Port Towns.
Taste buds.
Taste buds, absolutely right. There's nothing to pull the food down so that there's no nerve signal. So that's exactly why they take a lot of hot sauce with them. Nice work there, guys. Go red.
Oh, Zoo Parade for 5.
Zoo Parade for 5 points. Teams, every year on February the 2nd, they roust this rodent from his burrow and ask him for a weather forecast. Valley View.
Groundhog.
The groundhog. It is Groundhog Day. Punxsutawney Phil. I wonder why he doesn't bite those people when they pull them out of the ground. I always wondered that. Go, green.
Let's get physical for 5.
Let's get physical for 5 points. Teams, when these condensed water shapes in the sky, water vapor shapes in the sky, look like fish scales, they call it a mackerel sky. What are these collections of water vapor called? Valley View?
Clouds.
Clouds, absolutely right. Cumulus, stratus, cirrus, and everybody can see different shapes in them. Go, green.
Green things for 5.
Green things for 5 points. Teams, plants can't scream when they get injured, but they do release chemicals like GLVs, which are known as green leaf volatiles, which you can smell when you go out and cut the what? Port Towns.
The stem?
Not quite, no. You can smell these green leaf volatiles that injured plants release when you go outside and you cut the what?
Leaves.
Grass. Cut the grass. Don't any of you cut the grass? That smell when you cut the grass? Try again, green.
Science potpourri for 10.
Potpourri for 10 points. Look at the monitor, please, in the studio for this question. Teams, this largest beetle in the world is certainly not that big. That's been enhanced a bit. But its name is of this legendary Greek strongman. What kind of beetle is it, Valley View?
Hercules.
It is the Hercules beetle, the giant Hercules beetle. Absolutely right. Valley View again.
Let's get physical for 10.
Let's get physical for 10 points. Teams, Neptune's moon Titan is thought to contain millions of these most precious of the carbon-based gems. Port towns.
Diamonds?
Yes, the girl's best friend. Lots of diamonds up there. We just can't get them. 70 to 75. What a close game. Advantage red. Bryant.
Science potpourri for 5.
Potpourri for 5 points, teams. The plaything silly putty was accidentally discovered when scientists were looking for a substitute for what elastic substance? Port towns. What do you think, Brian?
Taffy?
Not taffy. Good try. Silly putty, the plaything, was found when scientists were looking for a substitute for what elastic substance?
Rubber.
Rubber is correct. Yes, good comeback. A plausible answer. I like both answers. Go green.
Body systems for 5.
Body systems for 5 points. Teams, if someone gets too close to you, they are said to be in your what? In your what, Port Towns?
Personal space.
Not quite, not quite. If they are just too close, they are said to be in your what, Adrian? In your face. In your face. Try again, green.
Zoo parade for 10.
Zoo parade for 10 points. Teams, this Australian mammal smells all the time like cough drops because all it munches is eucalyptus leaves. Port Towns?
A koala bear?
Koala bear it is, absolutely. Thank you, Francesca. Good assist there. All right, 80 to 80. We have a tie score. Oh, and the buzzer says our first round is over. How appropriate. What evenly matched teams we have. We'll be back with the second part of Science Bowl in just a moment. Don't go away.
I always knew I was going to college. My mom, she kept at me about my grades. She'd made me write my spelling words 5 times. Positive male role models? I didn't really have any, but my mom is strong. She never relied on anyone. She and my aunts always told me, you gotta be the one to make it happen. Man, I've always worked. You know, my friends would come into the restaurant where I was working and want to hang out, but I had to man up, say no. Can't mess around. Federal student aid? I heard about it at church. Filling out the free application wasn't easy, especially for a high school kid who didn't know what a W-2 was. But I got it done. What would I tell other kids? I would say sit down and talk to your parents. Just go for it and see what happens. Don't give up on college because of money. My name is Eric. I'm going to study sports medicine. I'm going to be all right.
These days, people of all ages, including adults, can have a perfect smile. Thanks to today's technology, people with crooked teeth may no longer need to wear metal braces. One option many adults prefer is invisible braces. Instead of the typical metal bands or brackets that are cemented to teeth, these braces are clear plastic trays. Some advantages of invisible braces are they can be removed for eating and for brushing and flossing. They are practically invisible to see, and they are less irritating to gums than traditional braces. Keep in mind that invisible braces are only available for people who need minor corrective work. If you are considering braces and would like to learn more about invisible braces, speak with your dentist. You're never too old for a beautiful smile. For the ADA Dental Minute, I'm Dr. Maria Lopez-Howell.
In the animal kingdom, all smiles are not created equal, but they take what they get. Luckily, you don't have to settle for what nature gave you. you can turn to an orthodontist who has 2 to 3 years of specialized education beyond dental school. Orthodontists focus on correcting crooked teeth, misaligned jaws, and dental irregularities. Make the most of what nature gave you. Visit an orthodontist for a lifetime of healthy, beautiful smiles. For more information, visit braces.org.
And welcome back to Science Bowl. So nice to have you here today. We're early in our 25th season, our silver anniversary year here on channels 38 and 96, and we're so happy to have 6 outstanding young people playing our game today. First, let's go to Port Townsend. I said at the top of the show, this is your first time ever. Now, the school has not been around for 25 years. You're a relatively new school over there in the Bladensburg area. So nice to have you with us. Brian, tell us who your principal is.
Miss Faribault.
Miss Faribault, and she has been there from the very beginning. She's here today. She's a wonderful principal, and everyone will get a chance to meet her in just a moment. And the sponsor of your team, who is that?
Miss Blackson.
Miss Blackson.
And Miss Smith.
And Miss Smith. And they're here as well. And those beautiful shirts you're wearing, and they say Port Town Elementary School Science Bowl with stars, and she made those for you, didn't she, Miss Blackson? And I know she's very proud of them. They look great. And they're not loners either. You get to keep them, don't you? Good. All right. Do you have any alternates on your team, Bryant?
Yes. Alexa.
Alexa, yes. And I met her earlier, and she'll be out in just a few moments as well. Tell me about yourself, Brian. What do you see yourself doing someday?
I want to be a doctor because I like helping people.
Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful ambition. There are a number of you today who aspire to be some kind of doctor. I know, Francesca, you want to be a pediatrician. Lucero, you want to be a doctor as well. Bryant, what do you do in your spare time?
I like playing video games, studying, and reading.
And reading, very good. And I was asking them earlier how they qualified to represent this school, and they said that their MSA scores last year was a big determinant. And boy, they chose well because you guys are just terrific. Lucero, nice to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do in your spare time?
Well, I like to color, and I also like to play my violin.
Yeah, and you told me you've been playing for 5 years.
No, 3 years.
3 years, 3 years. And the violin belongs to the school. Is there an orchestra at the school?
Yeah, we have a music teacher that teaches instruments to students.
Oh, that's wonderful. Do you practice at home?
Yeah, I would practice at home.
Absolutely. All musicians know that that's part of the discipline. To get good and to make it look easy, you just got to practice. And you too want to be a doctor?
Yes.
Yeah. Any particular kind?
Well, since I'm a diabetic, I would like to be an endocrinologist and help other diabetics.
What a wonderful, wonderful ambition, and absolutely. Endocrinology is a huge field, and we always think we're getting close to a cure for diabetes, and it's not quite there. Nice to have you with us today. Francesca, I already mentioned about pediatrician. You come from a large family. 3 younger brothers and sisters?
3 younger sisters and 1 older brother.
Wow, wow. And so you've got a lot of practice at home working with young people. Tell me what you do in your spare time.
Well, I usually talk on the phone or ride my bike.
I see. And I chastise her a bit because she doesn't wear her helmet. I want her to wear her helmet when she's out there riding her bike. How do you know so much about science? Because you're such a good player.
Well, I really like science because to me it's very fun and inspirational, and when I go home I usually just look through my science book and read ahead.
That's wonderful. You're obviously an excellent student. Keep up your good work. Valley View, nice to have you guys here. You appear very infrequently on Science Bowl. We're so glad to have you here. Adrian, tell us about your school. Who's your principal?
Our principal is Miss Sproul.
Miss Sproul. And the sponsor of your team, I know, is Miss Walker, and she's indisposed. She's not able to be with us today, but who brought you today?
Our vice principal, Ms. Williamson.
Yes, and we appreciate that very much, and she'll be out in just a few moments. And Adrian, there were 2 alternates, were there not?
Yeah, there were.
Who were they?
Diamond and Delphine.
Okay, and they'll both come out in just a few moments. Tell me about yourself. Why did you want to be on Science Bowl?
I want to be on Science Bowl because I thought that it would be interesting to be on TV and be able to test my science knowledge.
Absolutely. You always have to challenge yourself in life, and you have to see, well, am I doing the right thing? You guys have obviously done the right thing, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You're playing a nice game. What do you aspire to be someday?
I want to be a doctor.
Another doctor, yes. I said that there's a medical gene going on around here. Jocelyn, nice to have you with us. Tell us the Jocelyn story. What do you do in your spare time?
I used to play with Play-Doh, and I did origami. I made the crane, I made the carp, I made all these pigs, and that was my favorite.
And you know, it takes a lot of skill and practice so that they look right. We were sharing about origami. I had a kit when I was a kid, and I think we made the same kinds of animals back then. They make nice gifts, you know, because people treasure them because they can stay there like a little piece of art. What do you want to do someday?
I don't really know. People tell me I should be a scientist or a poet or maybe even an artist.
Well, a lot of people can tell you, but it's got to come from your own heart, what you really feel comfortable with and what you love to do. And you've obviously got a lot of talent. I know you'll choose well. A lot of choices out there. It's a tough world today. Angelica, what about you? Do you have things narrowed down yet?
Yes, I want to be an archaeologist or a lawyer.
Yeah, and you told me that you went to a museum here in Washington, and what happened there?
I saw a lot of dinosaur fossils, and they really piqued my interest.
Yeah, and you know, dinosaurs lived here in Maryland at one time, and there's a dig out there in Vansville, in the Beltsville area, where you can go, I think, the first Saturday every month, and young people your age have found dinosaur bones, so I hope you take advantage of that. Nice to have you with us. Let's get back to our game. Tie score, 80-all. Valley View and Port Towns, good playing. Oh, all the tough questions are left. Let's see how well you do. Bryant, start us out.
Green things for 10.
Green things for 10 points. Teams, in order to get rose water, horticulturists steam these plant parts to get the fragrant oils out. What plant parts do they steam, Port Towns?
Seeds.
Not the seeds, no. Valley View, to get rose water, what plant parts do they steam to get the fragrant oils out?
The roots.
No, the petals. The petals. That's the part of the rose that smells so good. You get the rose water from the petals. Try again, red.
Dateline signs for 10.
Dateline for 10 points. Teams, all this talk about bed bugs. Well, there's another kind of bug that's been around a lot longer that hair fairies and nitpickers. Valley View.
Lice.
Lice, that's right. The head louse. Ugh, just as disgusting. Go, green.
Body systems for 15.
Body systems for 15 points. Teams, what body system would a paleontologist be most interested in? Port Towns. What is your answer? What body system?
Your bones.
Your bones, absolutely right. The skeletal system. A paleontologist deals with bones. Absolutely good. I didn't think you were going to pull that one out of the hat. 95 to 90. Go red.
Zooparade for 15.
Zooparade for 15 points. Teams, these fish that are renowned for swimming upstream to spawn are now the source of much controversy because they're being genetically modified and people don't want to eat them anymore. Port Towns?
Salmon.
You got that right, the salmon, yeah. They have cartoons out now with giant salmons coming out of the kitchen into restaurants because they've been tinkered with genetically. Good, red.
Dateline signs for 15.
Dateline for 15 points. A multiple choice question for you teams. The James Webb Telescope is being developed by NASA to take the place of the Hubble, the Mir, or the Discovery Telescope. Which of those three, Port Towns?
Pass it to Francesca.
Francesca.
The Hubble?
You got that right. The Hubble Space Telescope has been up there for years and years. It's ending its useful years are just about over. They're going to replace it with the James Webb. Red.
Science potpourri for 15.
Potpourri for 15 points. Teams, one reporter on CNN said a few months ago, it's too cold for those lava-spewing mountains to be in Iceland. What was she talking about, Valley View?
Volcanoes.
Yeah, she said, how can a volcano be in Iceland? She really didn't understand geology very much. That was when those volcanoes were spewing ash and all the airplanes couldn't fly. Green, good, go.
Let's get physical for 15.
Let's get physical, 15 points. Teams, calcium oxide, which is good for the soil, and you get it by burning shells and bones, goes by another more familiar name. It has the same name as what citrus fruit that is often paired with lemons. Port Towns.
Pass it to Francesca.
Francesca.
Limes?
Limes, absolutely right. That white stuff you put on your lawn, that's called lime. That's calcium oxide. Absolutely right. Good going. Go, red.
Green things for 15.
Green things for 15 points. Teams, your question is as follows. When fruit starts to ripen, it produces a gas called ethylene that literally changes the starches inside the fruit into tastier whats? Port towns.
Taste buds.
Not taste buds, no. Remember the category now. Green things. The ethylene gas in ripening fruit changes the starches in that fruit into tastier whats? Yes, sir. What do you think, Adrian?
Sugar.
Absolutely right. The starch changes into sugar. It changes chemically, molecularly, and it is tastier. Good comeback. 120 to 140. Still a very tight game. All the 20 and 25-point questions. You choose, Adrian.
Green things for 20.
Green things for 20 points. Teams, your question is as follows. President Obama recently played golf on the country's only organic golf course, which is... Port Towns?
Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to repeat the question for Valley View. This is going to be your question. You did not ring in. President Obama recently played on the country's only organic golf course, a golf course where these kinds of undesirable plants, if they pop up, are not killed by herbicides. Weeds, absolutely right. There are weeds on that course, and they say, let them go. They're organic. Good, go, green. Tie score, 140 all.
Science potpourri for 20.
Potpourri for 20 points. Teams, your question is as follows. If your science fair experiment is to determine if milk makes plants grow better, you add milk to the test plants, but you don't add it to the ones you compare it to, which are called the whats? Port Towns. Don't ring in unless you have an idea. Yes, ma'am. What do you want to say, Francesca?
The display plants?
Not the display parts, no. If you're adding milk to the test plants to see if milk makes plants grow better, you do not add milk to the other ones you compare it to, which are called the whats?
Controlled.
That's what I want to hear. The controls. You got it. The test versus the control increases the validity of your findings. Green.
Let's get physical for 20.
Let's get physical for 20 points. Teams, a multiple choice question. When that oil well sprung a leak in the Gulf of Mexico, everyone was coming up with ideas about how to fix it. Finally, BP says, we're going to spread something to break up that oil. Did they spread a diuretic, a coagulant, or a dispersant? Which of those three, Valley View?
A dispersant?
Yes, a dispersant to break up that oil so that it could break down and disappear more quickly. Green.
Zooparade for 20.
Zooparade for 20 points. Multiple choice question again. When a baby giraffe stops nursing and starts eating grass, its digestive system changes. Do we say that that giraffe has been hacked, estivated, or weaned? Valley View.
Weaned.
Weaned, absolutely. No longer drinking milk and now taking solid, more natural food for that species. Absolutely right. Good. Go again. Come on, Brian, get on that buzzer now. Let's get back in this game. Go, Adrian.
Dateline science for 20.
Dateline for 20 points, teams. Another multiple choice question. Everybody knows who Nick Jonas is, but Jonas Salk was a scientist who invented a vaccine to conquer which of the following crippling diseases? Multiple sclerosis, arthritis, or polio? Port Towns. Polio, absolutely right. The polio vaccine. Good, you're back in it. Go red.
Body systems for 20.
Body systems, 20 points, teams. If someone dives into a swimming pool and hits their head, they can cause a fracture in the C1 bone, which is one of these V-initialed bones in your neck. Valley View. Yes, sir. Again, don't ring in unless you have an idea. I'll repeat for Port Towns. If you dive into a pool and you hit your head, you could break one of these V-initialed bones in your neck. Vertebrae, vertebrae. Less than 2 minutes in our game. Pick again. Bryant.
Dateline science for 25.
Dateline for 25 points. Teams, the northern lights known as the aurora borealis are also thought to cause the solar waves that have the same name as the waves here on Earth that result after an earthquake. What are those waves called that are formed after an earthquake? Valley View.
Tsunami.
That's what I want to hear, a tsunami. Good, go, green. Pick.
Green Things for 25.
Green Things for 25 points. Teams. The Producers is a Broadway play that could be about plants because plants are the producers in the food chain because they produce food through what process? Portans.
Photosynthesis.
That is it, photosynthesis. Good, red, go.
Super 8 for 25.
Super 8 for 25 points. Look at the monitor in the studio, teams. Last winter, it was so cold in Florida that these I-initialed lizards fell from the trees. Valley View.
Iguanas.
Those are iguanas. That's right, Angelica. Good. Green.
Science potpourri for 25.
Potpourri for 25 points, teams. We all know from the Bible that when Lot's wife turned around, she turned into a pillar of salt. But they found a mummy in Pennsylvania recently who had been in the ground so long that all of his fats had hydrolyzed, and he turned into a giant bar of this. Bryant. You may answer a bar of what?
Sand.
Not sand. He turned into a bar of what when all of his fats were hydrolyzed, Adrian?
Stone.
What do you wash with? Soap was the answer, a bar of soap. The buzzer is rung. Valley View has done it. We'll be back with a wrap-up in just a moment. Don't go away.
It's easy to gain a little weight without really noticing. The same is true for your pets. Just a couple of extra pounds on them can lead to diabetes, arthritis, and heart disease. Visiting your veterinarian is the best way to help your pets live long, healthy lives. Go to petfit.com to learn more, because a little extra weight is a big problem.
For years, scientists have explored remote corners of the Earth, searching for exotic substances that might help prevent cancer. At last, man has discovered a secret place where powerful remedies can actually be found. Medical research shows that a vegetarian diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains can help prevent many types of cancer. Wherever you live, cancer prevention is as close as your grocery store. To learn more, call 866-906-WELL.
You said. Yeah, come on, you promised.
Well, the deal was you had to finish your homework first. Okay.
Throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care.
Tips on staying involved. Just one of the many ways PTA can help enrich your child's learning experience and life. Join us today. PTA, every child, one voice.
And welcome back to Science Ball. Hope you enjoyed this game at home. We had a wonderful time here. 6 great players. I'm going to say, I'm happy to see some of them leave because you've been all so great. Our final tally today is Port Towns 185, Valley View 250. Congratulations to Angelica and Adrian and Jocelyn and Miss Williamson, their vice principal. Aren't you glad you came today? I know you are. And the 2 alternates standing on either side of her, they're Diamond and Delphine. Congratulations. You played a wonderful game. Adrian, I was worried about you. You were so quiet, but somehow you pulled the rabbit out of the hat each time. Good going. I'm going to see some smiles over here. You guys are wonderful. Our 3 doctors, Francesca and Brian and Lucero, you're wonderful and you look great. And back there, our alternate, say hello to Alexa. And we have 2 alternates. We have 2 coaches, Miss Blackson and Miss Smith, and the wonderful principal of Port Towns from the very beginning, Miss Lisa Faribault. What a wonderful team, and we hope you enjoyed them as much as we did. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on another edition of Science Bowl. Bye-bye now.